Nice. I think we already have 50 people in the call. Thanks a lot for joining, everyone. Really, really awesome to see that so many people signed up and joined. My idea, let's see how it all works out, right? But my idea is that it's a little bit of an open conversation. Like I'm really happy to hear questions live and discuss and can be a bit back and forth. Sometimes people are shy and it's more just me talking, but you don't have to be shy. Feel free to drop all kind of questions that you have. To me, I think a lot of, I don't know if everyone is listening to the windsurfing.tv podcast, but a lot of people listen to them because they're informative, and there it's of course Ben Profit interviewing me or other riders or industry people. But I always get comments that they're super informative, super useful, super nice to hear. So my idea was with these webinars is to do this kind of live, like give you guys insights, give you guys information about anything, basically. Just to help you guys out a bit, let's say. We took as topics now a little bit the launching of the last gear, for example, with the X-Space and the Blitz. That's I think launched 2-3 weeks ago by now. Especially as it's new products which are we're not in the duotone range before. Normally there's more questions popping up on those kind of products, so I can imagine that people have some questions about it. And so if you have the first question, please shout, please bring it on. I see some of the Belgian rockets joining as well. I know they received some last week and they are having some experience with it as well. So I don't know if they want to share something about it already. Mathieu, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
You
hear me?
Of course I hear you. Of course.
Right.
Yes, I hear you.
Yeah, so I was very lucky to have received the 6.6 and Blitz 136. So we had around just below 20 knots yesterday, and I had a day of work. So you can imagine how fun that was. And my main goal was to test the sail, because I'm normally an S-Pace rider, so I don't do full warp. I see myself as a cozy rider, but I still like to push for some speeds. But that X-Pace, honestly, it felt super nice. Like, it's really the racing feeling you have from maybe even a warp, but definitely the S-Pace. It's very stiff in like the belly, like when it pulls you forward. But then the release that you have on top was yeah, I didn't imagine that it could work like this, because we know the normal E-Pace, it blows up a little bit in the top of the sail, it gets a bit more heavy, and you feel that, so the acceleration stops at the point. 2 weeks ago, I tested the normal E-Pace on a fun ride during a demo day, so I can recall how it felt, but this one was very different. Like, it keeps accelerating so nicely, and it feels stable. Like, when I had it in my harness, the sail was just sailing on its own, keeping the right position. I could play piano on the left and the right hand, and actually very, very impressive. So I'm looking forward to the bigger sail if it's as stable. So I also have a 7.8, and I'm looking forward to test that in a bit lighter winds. You just need to have it really loaded. So that is something I took from the session. Like, indeed, you don't need to fully build the belly up, as there is like this pre-shaping in the front, but you need a good amount of wind to really get it going. So don't rig it too small, as you might lack some power. So that's a bit my first feeling. Yeah, I was not that tired. It felt light. It felt stable. I'm even doubting to now go to Defi and do 1 or 2 sessions where I would just take a X-Pace instead of an S-Pace and just relax the easiness.
Nice there. for those who are not aware about the difference of the X pace and the E pace. The E pace has been, I don't know how many years, the freeride said duotone, but it's really made for getting you to plane early and get through those wind holes really easy, and the sail kind of loads up, and that's why you plane so early and you don't have to pump so much, but you always compensate somewhere, right? So at the higher end, there is not much release in the sail, because you cannot have a sail which is allowing you to plane without any pumping and to release to get the high end performance. That's why, yeah, basically the X-Pace is a sail that came to life, because if you wanted to go performance, you had to go to cambers. If you didn't want to have the struggle of the wide, you get the S-Pace, 3 cams, more narrow, mass sleeve, to still have a bit of a belly and more release. So it's more performance orientated, but you have cambers. Now there is some people who have a pretty hate relationship with cambers, and there's a solution for these kind of people now. Was funny that it was quite a process. I think Marco Lang, I don't know if he joined and wants to say a word as well, or he's too busy maybe as well. But I think they produced over 40 prototypes just to get to the sales as they are now. So it's not, they didn't take the E-Pace and they changed something and it's like, here you go, here's the more performance orientated sail. No. They tested for over a year. They created more than 40 prototypes to make it happen. And the result, I would say, is pretty awesome. I don't know if you've seen the video that I made. Obviously, can always sound funny, like you promote, of course, the products from your sponsor, but it's honestly really, like Mathieu also said, the feeling that you need to be a bit more powered up compared to an E-Pace because it's more performance orientated. But there's seriously a lot of performance inside that sail. Within 2 reaches, I went over 60 kilometers per hour. So that shows quite the potential of the sail. And my goal was actually to visit a speed spot and see how fast the X-Pace can really go. But that idea is still a little bit in the, let's say, waiting room for it to happen, because I didn't get the chance yet to do it. Did they? I see a question in the comments. Did they the E-Pace start warp?
So the question is basically, was the E-Pace the starting point or the camber sail the starting point?
I mean, they start with a new file. You know, it's not that it's true that if we work on the new warp, often you take the latest warp file and you start adjusting, right? Okay, we want to have a little bit more this or that or the boom, and you start working on the file. In this case, they kind of started from scratch. Okay. You never start from scratch if you have a database of 35 years making windsurfing sails, or I don't know exactly how long.
You have an idea. You have an idea where you want to go. Because I'm also a user of racing sails all my life. I have now since a year or 5 warp North sails from 2017, a bit hate of love, because I still have not the fine tuning of it. And I sailed for years since 2012 with one 7-meter matrix. I have it still, the 2012, and it's fast, it's easy, and it has this speed like this X-Pace has and should have, and also like now Neil Bright is doing with their Speedster. So that's why I also ordered the set of X-Pace sails, just to compare them with my warp speed in the coming months. And I'm really curious. I think the small sails are fast. I know I sail with camberless wave sails on my slalom boards when the wind is high, and I don't want the stiff feeling. And I'm as fast almost as every camber sailor. So That was one of the questions. You said, okay, I achieved 60, but did you test them on your own slalom boards compared with other slalom boards?
I tested on my own slalom board. You know, that session, for example, I would have gone out, I think, on the 7.7 warp fin, let's say. I went out on the 7.3 X pace. It was not at that point, the product was already finished. So it's not that I specifically, tested the sail on slalom board to see if the fit was perfect, all that kind of stuff. I know that Marco Lang mostly used the Blitz as a, let's say, reference board to the sail. But by my own experience, which is only using the 118 Falcon fin together with the 7.3 X pace, is that I believe the combination is really working well. Again, I have not tried other combinations yet, but I always believe that if this, without any tuning, I didn't go out, try for half an hour, adjust everything to the perfect, to see. No, I just rigged it, went out, and I was like, "Oh, this actually feels really nice."
And which master did you use in the 7.3?
I was using SDM. I have not tried it with the RDM, so I cannot share my personal experience with this. I am 103, 104 kilo. So
you need a stiffer base, basically.
Yes. But the good thing is that the sail is designed on let's say both masts, because there is some sail from other brands, some sails that can work either on RDM or SDM. For example, our warp, it's simply not designed on RDM. Also not taking care of or find something in the middle that works for both. No, that sail is made around our SDM Platinum mast, and that's what's working. And the X-Pace, especially in the bigger sizes, Marco was trying them always with both masts to assure there is kind of an option to use both.
Because having an advantage of both masters, so a bit softer, more flex with the RDM, I think, and a bit stiffer with. Because if I go back to, I have only experience at the moment with my old Matrix, and I started sailing it with an SDM mast, and I didn't like it. Then I put in even a smaller 430 instead of 460 RDM mast, and it was a difference, and the sail was suddenly alive and controllable and fast. So even unexpectedly, you take a thinner mast, you take a smaller mast, and it was better than expected.
If you have the option to try, please do. Like it's.
I will. I have the option. So I've bought the masts, the RDM mast. I have the SDM mast from the North Sails and from the Duotone. So I will really exchange both types on the same day to find out.
Yeah, and that's good. Like a lot of people, they see us pros when I go testing. I maybe windsurfing 6-7 minutes in a row, and then I'm back to changing, going in, out, in, out. But it's because I'm feeling this kind of differences, right? But also for everyone who's in the chat here, especially if something is not working, I know plenty of people who are going out and something doesn't work. And they just stay out for 3 hours, and then their right arm is hurting because they had to pull so much on that one side and whatever. Or they get something new. It's not something they're used to, and then suddenly it's like it's not working, or it's really important that when you get something new, for you new, can be either a complete new product.
But you need to be able to do that. You need to have the feeling for that. And some people buy something and it's not working. They take it as coming out of the package.
I really believe that everyone is feeling something. Let's say the only difference is that when I go out, I'm like, I need a little bit downhole. I need a bit this. I need my fin this. Like I can place kind of the problem, nor I can feel where it's coming from, so I can really adjust. While for most of the people, they either have a good session or a shitty session. No, that's their reference point, and they probably feel the same thing that I feel. I am just like, okay, it must be this, or it could be this. While a majority of the people is just like, oh, it feels good or it feels bad.
And yeah, I learned last week about my warp sails from Chris Doyce, you know him, and he played with my with the lats, the battens in the sail, and I never played it that much, but it was a difference, and so I learned a lot in one session about battens, that it can make your session, or can make the sail or break the sail.
Yeah, 100%. Battens, cam tension. When someone is like, I don't like the sail, it's not rotating. Most likely we take 3 millimeters of each camber, and boom, it rotates. And then suddenly you go from fighting every jibe to easy flipping cameras, and then you're having a lot of fun. But then back to the point, it's exactly. Sometimes one person has to tell you, and then or if you're at the beach and you have someone telling you, and you figure it out, and then but it's also really recommended that you go out yourself and you try 2 centimeters more downhole. But just try.
It's a big difference. Yeah.
I got a question for Mathieu. Did he sail with the RDM mast or the SDM mast? Because Mathieu is not that heavy.
Yeah, I was on RDM. Depends on how you define heavy. I'm 85 kilos, so I would say I'm a lightweight. But no,
like me.
Yesterday, actually, I was so happy and testing the kit, and I was like in my mind, I should go for the SDM and check the difference so I can tell people. And then I should swap the board to a Falcon SLS, and I was like, no, it's too nice. There is sun. I did 100+ kilometers just enjoying the kit, and I was like, I'm gonna do testing later. It works out of the bag. I don't care about these tunings, whatever.
No, sometimes it works, right?
And I enjoyed it. So, and that was really the state of mind I tried to keep for the rest of the day. Like, let's do tuning later. I had a plan from the start. Ditch the plan, keep the smile.
Yeah,
and
that's good. That's very nice to hear. Cool.
You could have had such an interesting story to tell here, And now we just know you had a good session.
Yeah, it's like you are like, oh, I feel this little millimeter there, and I'm like, I don't care. I have a smile.
Yeah, I have more fun than you, so I don't care. Nice. I see a lot more questions. Actually, I will follow up on them. Let me see. The first one from Laura. I have a question about the e-pace because my bottom batten isn't rotating right. Do you have a trip from tuning from Vigo? Best would actually be if you send me a picture of how the sail is tuned, because it can be a couple things. If you don't put enough downhole, there is too much, let's say, sail in front close to the mast, and therefore it doesn't rotate. If you're not using enough outhole, so your outhole is too loose, then also the batten is still shooting too much to the front and doesn't want to rotate over the mast. Can also be if you're, for example, not using a duotone mast in an e-pace, but another brand mast, which is maybe a little bit thicker. Yeah, so basically there can be a couple things wrong. Tough to tell you now one answer which you can do and it's fixed. But you can of course try all of these things, or simply send me a picture and I have a look at it. Plus, tell me which mast you are using, because that can have a lot of influence on the sail as well. Let me see. Wait, there is Danny. Are you here still? Danny? there's actually the designer of the boards in the call as well. I thought it was nice if he says a little something too. But he also sends me a picture that he's drinking a beer. So let's see how useful he will be.
Jordy, I think Figo also wanted to reply to your
Wait,
to your
Can
question.
you see me now, Jordy?
we can hear you.
Hi.
That's great. Thank you for downloading me another that I was able to download another app which I was still missing in my collection.
I pay you this beer, okay? For the question. I
This
pay
is
you
actually alcohol-free. Augustine is my favorite. I told my girlfriend I'll be only away for 5 minutes, so we're already over 5 minutes. So I'm in trouble. Doesn't matter anymore.
doesn't
No,
matter. Danny,
But
the
it's great
Blitz.
that you guys are here in the call. I saw there's over 60 guys. That's amazing. Cool.
Yes. Danny, you in Holland, the Jag was quite a famous board. You maybe know. I don't know if there's some Jag lovers within these 60 people. So before going back to the other questions in the chat, I wanted to ask you a little bit. I mean, you're basically designing the boards. Can you give a little background story about the Blitz, how it came about, and or testing journey maybe?
No, the testing journey was quite simple. I know that especially in Holland, there's many guys which really love the Jag, and I know it was kind of a risk to take it away out of the collection, which does not mean it has to go forever, right? We were quite satisfied with the Blitz R&D, I would say. Also, Jordy and Marco and other guys were involved, and we saw that we were able to reach a little bit easier handling compared to the Jag. And Marco, for example, did on Lake Neusiedl, he did a 65 average speed over 2 seconds, I think. And the Belgian Rockens I saw also really like it. And we just fought to close the gap between the slalom board, the Falcon, and the Eagle, which is the pure free ride one. The Blitz is kind of the right way to go. Plus, we introduced the Falcon SLS, which is a kind option of the Falcon with the further inside place foot strap. So I think we balanced that Blitz quite nicely in there. And yes, I know there was a request for a 94 size, and we will make it next year as well, because I think that's missing. We had a little check, and we thought the 104 Blitz is small enough, but we see already some requests also for smaller X-Pace and Blitzes.
Yeah, especially with the Defi Wind coming up with a good forecast. Probably some people will be asking for these sizes.
I heard some rumors. I heard some rumors for smaller sales, isn't it? Like X-Pace 5.0 and 4.5, something like that.
Yeah, we are also considering this at the moment. And just that you guys know, I mean, I did the Defi 5 times myself, and I even managed to go top 10 one time. Okay. And you guys know
Really?
on the reach back, when the wind is really shifting, it's always good to have a slightly wider board to ride over the rail upwind after the jibe. Okay, and especially there, I think the 104, even the wind is very strong. We had that one year when I was on a 4.7 warp doing some races, and we still had kind of a 62 wide-ish board. And I would definitely not go too small on the board just because of that upwind reach going back after the jibe. I mean, Jordy will show you all the tricks, right? But for me, the most important thing at the Defi was always that the outside jibe go straight back to the beach to keep as far upwind as you can. And there, a board which is a Blitz 104, I think it's basically the perfect size, even there is 40 knots. Yeah. Or did Jordy tell you something else and I'm just too old?
No, not at all. Not at all. No, thank you, Danny.
You guys do know that the Blitz comes in a tuttle box, and we tried that. And I just want to make clear that that fin we deliver is basically a free race, free ride fin, which gives a lot of control and a lot of easiness for the jibing. And actually, if you get the fin, you think it's absolutely rubbish fin, but the fin really performs mega well on an overall scale. If you want to have the Blitz tuned for pure Defi Wind, I would say, going straight line, of course, it's better to take one of the new Duotone Slalom fins or finish fins from Jordy, that will give the board a hell of a different trim in general. But if you want to have like a weekend board, also a lot of jibes involved, the production fin is actually really, really good, which comes with the board. Yeah.
Nice. Nice. Thank you, Danny.
You're welcome. So you guys will see Vasin. Vasin is our Thai guy, which takes care about our new factory. He will be joining you guys at the Defi. I gave him the Team Duotone jacket already, so you'll be able to spot him. And he will help you whenever he can. Jordy will pick him up in Munich on Sunday, and then back to France, and then back to Munich, and then we take him to Garda for the. We are already like I feel like Remy working on the 2028 collection. Feels quite weird, but it's time to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe fun for some people to hear, like as Duotone has, we call it our Thai guy, a guy from Thailand who is living in Bangkok, where our factory is placed as well. For those who are not aware, Duotone is not producing at Cobra anymore, but we basically have a bit of our own factory. And 2 days ago, this guy, Fazin, flew with 13 triple board bags.
37 boards.
37 boards in one shot alone from Bangkok to Munich. Poor guy. I think every time we think he hits the limit, he manages to take 1 or 2 board bags more. But he's still alive, and then sometimes we treat him with nice things, and we take him to the Defi Wind and we give him a bit of a show. He was actually also in Japan last year to watch the PWA there with a couple other guys from the factory. It's nice. Yeah.
Cool.
Give the people from the factory a little bit of feeling for the real windsurfing world out there.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So I wish you a fantastic week. I saw the forecast is not as bad as usual. I think it's gonna be a hell lot of fun, and I'm sure you have the best coach. And I'm teaching Vasin in German now because we always say to Jordy he should take the Lumpedicht on German. And of course, we hope for some trophies again. Okay, no pressure. Okay.
On it.
Okay. All right, guys.
Ciao, Danny.
Okay, ciao, guys.
Ciao. Laura,
Hi.
I saw you're waving.
I'm actually Vigo.
Sorry. I see I don't see you. I see you really small, but I see the name, which is called Laura. But hey, Vigo.
I wanted to say I'm rigging the sail with a Duotone Platinum Arrow. And I have it on the alternative with the XT on 34.
Do you have my phone number, or you have the phone number of Reiner?
Yeah, I know Reiner.
I know him as well, and I got not his number, but the mother of him. So I can hook you up to each other, and let's figure something out.
Watch out, Figo. No. We'll make sure I have a look at your sail. Yeah, next time you rig it, you make a picture or you make a video, and then we get in touch, and then we make sure your sail is rotating perfectly on the buttons.
But I use an RDM.
It's not made. It's actually shaped on the SDM. So it could be that's the problem. You can still see if we can find a way to work around it a little bit. But the E-Pace is different than the X-Pace. The X-Pace you can use with RDM, but the E-Pace is really made on the SDM mast. So that could be the problem.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now I know.
Perfect. Perfect. I see a lot of questions. I think Niels Donstra was the next one. Another e-pace question. How can I get more power from my e-pace? I'm always lacking a lot of power while others are playing around me with 7.0. Then grabbing an S-pace same size, I can go full speed. That does sound weird because normally, if let's say you have a 7.0 e-pace, you should plane earlier than with the S-pace, with a 7.0 S-pace. There is no 7.0 S-pace, but just as a reference, the same size e-pace compared to the same size S-pace, the e-pace should plane earlier. If you're happy to talk, what kind of mast are you using? Are you also using the recommended mast or something else? Because it would be nice to figure out in a way where it's coming from, because it shouldn't be.
Maybe you can explain shortly, Jordy, why an e-pace is actually planing earlier than an S-pace. I think that's a misconception for many people.
Yeah, so funny enough is that people are always thinking that, let's say, race sails are really powerful, but it's not true because in the end, for example, my smallest race sail is a 5.7, while a wave sail goes all the way down to a 3.3. People always think that a sail with a big belly is really really powerful, but it's actually opposite. It's not powerful at all. It's just really stable, and because it's so stable, you can hold it for so long, and you can really have that high-end performance. So you need to imagine that actually a sail who's relatively flat is normally flat in the bottom and flat in the top. So it's basically creating power everywhere, which allows you to plane earlier. While for a sail with a bigger belly to load up is taking more time, because it needs more wind to completely fill up. And then once it's filled up, you also have more release in the top for the wind to kind of go out again and accelerate. So basically the profile of a sail, the more extreme, so the bigger the belly, the more open in the top, the more high end, and basically the flatter everything is, the more low end it's orientated. So then you have E-pace, low end. Then I would say you have X-pace, S-pace, warp. Going from smaller to a big profile in this sail. Mark, you think that's pretty clear in terms of explanation?
I think that's pretty clear, yeah. So you would also say the X-pace is more powerful than the S-pace?
I would put them in a similar. I would actually love to go out one time on a 7.3 S-pace and a 7.3 X-pace and feel in terms of power how close it is. Let's say Marco Lang could have. He's using those sails all the time, so he would know it best. But I think in general, I would say they're pretty equal in terms of how much power they generate. I see the next one is from Boy. I'm an S-pace user for a while now, and I still love them. I have the feeling the S-paces don't have that big high end. Is this correct? Maybe my fault. And I was wondering if the high end is with the new X-pace. I do agree that the S-pace was also stronger in its performance in the low end compared to the high end. The S-pace this year has gone through quite some changes. Beside the shorter boom, also the twist in the sail is different, more open for more release, which again benefits especially the higher end of the performance. So I don't know, Boy, if you have any sail from, let's say, 2025 and before, they were they should be, let's say, a little bit better in the low end, while the latest one is a little bit more high end orientated. Could be that also the new X-Pace, from what I see, if I just look at the sail, I think it's also more high end orientated than the old S-Paces were. But I know Herman in the Netherlands has a pretty big test trailer. I know with some availabilities, it's not been the easiest, but there will be some test days with S-Paces, X-Paces, and all that kind of stuff available. So I think it will be really good and beneficial to have a try once. Because in the end, everyone can tell you whatever, but if you have the feeling yourself, this is obviously meaning the most. Mathieu, I see your comment now that the new S-Paces have a lot better high end. Happy you say this because that's exactly what I explained as well. It was a nice conversation between Mathieu and Boy. Next question. I'm a S-Pace, E-Pace user, and you told me earlier about the tuning outhole, downhole, boom height. In clinic, someone told me to keep your outhole at the same point and play with the boom height and outhole to simplify high, low, and trim. Does this make sense or not? I sure did check. I don't know if at the first point you tried to say downhole. Because if I change your first outhole to downhole, it makes sense to me. So that means to keep your downhole at the same point and play with the boom height and the outhole. I don't know, Willem, if that's the way you did it. Yes?
Yeah, so the idea was to keep the outhole the same at one point to keep it simple, because there are a lot of factors, which is not the easiest to get your head around, and that was a tip that he said to keep it easier, but I don't know if it makes sense on those sails or not.
The thing is with downhole, so we're talking about the loose leech. What I really believe is that when you have less downhole, you catch more wind, so you plane a little bit earlier. But also less downhole is pushing a little bit more on the board, which gains control in stronger conditions. Now, if we reverse it to more downhole releases more wind, which is nice, to let more wind go when you're overpowered. But it also makes the sail lighter, which makes your board fly in light wind. So that means that more or less downhole has benefits on both sides. Pretty confusing, but it's the way it is. That means that when I'm tuning my sail, or if I would tune any sail, I would try to find the right downhole and stick to that. If I need more power in the sail, I release the outhole. And then if I need more control, I put my outhole tighter, and that's it. I basically change everything on the boom. On the boom, I changed my harness length line, I changed the outhole, I changed the boom height. Like the boom, I changed everything, and that's basically it. The rest, the downhole, most of the time I find my preference setting, and that's what I will use for the whole year. So that's the way I believe in it as well. And I believe the downhole setting can always be a bit personal. Tall people, they generate a lot of leverage and a lot of power. So they often use a little bit more downhole to compensate the power they generate. While smaller people, they're not opening the sail or they have a different leverage. So they need more power from the sail. So they use a little bit less downhole. This I can see when, for example, my father, which is a little bit shorter, when he's like, okay, go tune my stuff, I tune it to perfection for me, and he goes out and he's like, it's way too much downhole, I don't like it. And then he puts 2 clicks, which is like 6 millimeter or something, a bit more than half a centimeter less downhill, and then suddenly for him it's working perfect. So it's within a centimeter and a half, there's like a sweet spot, I would say, for everyone.
What I usually do, well, I'm 184, 100 kilos, and I downhole it just before the minimum sticker, usually just a little less.
You know, if you feel good like that, perfect. You know, like I often pull a little bit more than max, which is quite a lot more, but I'm also always using it on the higher end. You know, like I always try to be overpowered.
Wait, I'm mixing it up. Minimum wind, max, no, so almost to the max, sorry.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah,
perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. That's in general what I feel is the best, let's say.
Thanks for your feedback.
No worries. Can I ask about warps? Rich, are you still here?
Yes, I have to put on the microphone. Yes, I do.
Perfect. Tell me your question about warps.
I posted my question. I already typed it. A few topics below. So my
Is it my connection that's gone?
No, it is.
I don't think so.
No, I think he's cutting
Okay.
out.
Fall asleep.
I see the camera is also stuck.
Come on, Rich.
Well, let's see if he hears us. Because I see his question: with all my warps from 2019 to 2023, I always lose power. Oh, my chat is gone. Wait. I always lose power in downwind runs, but at half wind, mostly one of the fastest on slalom. Trying tuning, but can't find the problem. So it sounds a bit like speed surfing versus slalom sailing problem, let's say. It requires a different tuning. I don't know who's all having Rich, you're back.
Yes, I'm back. I lost connection. Sorry.
Perfect. I read out your question. So if that's still the same question, I'm happy to answer it now. So basically, you're basically fighting with the slalom trim versus the speed trim, by the sounds of it.
Yes, about that. Yes,
because it's requiring a bit different tuning. It's one of the reasons why we have, for example, cambers, which you can simply adjust with the torque key to apply different pressure. Because on slalom, I really want my cams to easily, let's say, pop back and forward. This means the rotation is really smooth, the sail is a little bit softer, it accelerates more, and really gives the performance on crosswind sailing, so slalom sailing. But if once you go speed sailing, you kind of want to have that profile more to the front. You want to have, that the front is more loaded and more powerful, so that you don't stop halfway, or that you're not losing power in those downwind runs. So if I would now go to Grusan to do some speed sailing, I would most likely, if it's just for speed sailing, go to my cambers, put them all tighter. Maybe the rotation is getting worse, because that's an effect from having very tight cambers, but the sail is starting to load up more, and even if the wind drops, that should pulling you through those wind holes. The downside is, yes, on when you go slalom sailing, the sail feels maybe a little bit too stiff. The cams are not rotating as nice, and also the acceleration on sailing crosswind is getting a bit less, because the sail is reacting different. But again, that's giving you that downwind top speed and high average to pull you, let's say, from start to finish in case it's a speed competition. And also out hole, you can really put it loose, because maybe once you go into the run, normally you should be really overpowered, let's say. But once you're in the run, actually going completely downwind is not powerful at all, let's say. So if you go slalom sailing, you have the out hole pretty tight most of the time, I would say. But when you go speed sailing, you should really put it loose. But when you go to the run, you really, you feel the sail is kind of has a big belly, because that's what you need once you go completely downwind.
Okay.
So especially when you're one of the fastest on slalom course, that sounds to me that then your trim is also based on slalom rather than a little bit more speed orientated.
Okay, I have not tried that story about the camps. So, well, I take that for my next run with me. I will try it.
Nice.
Thank you very much.
No worries. No worries. I saw a Blitz. I see. Am I correct that a little bit more down or less downhole means something like 2 clicks? Yes. 2 clicks is already making a big difference. I even tune 1 click. For those who are wondering what is clicks, that means you don't have a Power XT. If you don't have a Power XT, get one because they're absolutely amazing. And if someone tells you they're breaking, they either have the version from 14 years ago, or they're not maintaining it well.
Just give me a call, for the
Yes.
SDM extensions. We have a lot in stock, so give me the call.
And I can get you a good deal.
Yeah, for sure.
No, honestly, they in the World Cup they had plenty of different names. Those extensions, some called them career extenders, because they were getting too stiff to every time sit on the ground. And with the Power XT, they felt like they could rig 4 sails for a competition every day. I still think on the World Cup, around 80% of the people are using a Power XT. It's really, really amazing. Whether it's on, no matter on what brand the riders are on, it's really an amazing tool. And if you take care about it in the right way, put some silicone spray every once in a while and making sure there's no sand and leave the lever on the plus, small things, then the thing is lasting. I have extensions which are 2-3 years old and they still work perfect. So it's just about maintaining. And then again, 1 click for me is enough to feel the difference, but for, let's say, normal people, yes, 2 clicks is already big enough of a change to go and try out and feel the difference. I saw something about the Blitz. I saw Mathieu saying, based on my Blitz 136 experience yesterday, don't choose them too low in volume. You want to say something
There was a
about
question of Alexander, a bit above. You just missed it.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I'm riding a Lorg 179 at light winds and a Futura 141 at medium winds. My body weight is 90 kilo and just beyond beginner. So my level is using harness well, planing well, sometimes front straps, tacking, still managing, and necking water starts yet. Go big. Go big with the board, because the boards have so much control. I think I surely forgot the line that they use. I think volume yet control concept is a little bit how they promote it. But again, the boards have so much control. I was right. I think the biggest Blitz. I think I should have forgot what the biggest size is.
148.
So much fun to ride. And of course, once you go to smaller boards, your high end, so your speed will be faster. But hey, that's not what we're talking about here. You know, you want to plane, you want to have an easy board, you want to have simply just a good time and get into those straps as soon as possible. Of course, it also depends a little bit on the place where you live. If you live on a spot where it's average 25 knots, you can more often take a smaller board. But also in Holland, for example, where most of the time it is simply gusty. So even if it's 20 knots, there's sometimes still wind holes of 12, 13 knots. Then a bigger board brings you so much more to get planing, to get through the holes. And I think it's one of the reasons that when we develop the boards, or also when we develop the Blitz, we're really focused on that control, allowing people to take bigger boards because it carries the weight of the sail. It's just making everything easier, especially when you're on a level where you still need to progress. That's what's making you way more fun in windsurfing, rather than trying to balance on a smaller board and fall way more often and having to put more effort to plane. And then, like Dani mentioned, you can also connect that once you get into more performance, you know, you can, for example, think of buying a little bit of more of a slalom fin to tune up the performance of that board. That's really a little bit the thought behind the Blitz. You know, that if you want to still progress, still learn, and not having it too difficult, you take it with a freeride fin. If you're like, hey, I'm ready for a challenge, I want to, you know, try to beat my friends. That's why you put a turtle box, you put a slalom fin below, and boom, you accelerate the performance of the board by quite a significant amount.
Thank you for the insight. And by the way, I'm from the Steinhuder Meer, that's in Germany.
Also not the most consistent wind, I think.
No.
No,
it's
but also
flat
there,
water.
yeah,
Flat water
you know,
sea and
you know, what you want is a board that planes. You want it to plane and stay on the plane. And if you have that strong gust, all you want is the board not to go up, but to keep going forward in a steady way. And yeah, I mean, the Blitz is a board that's doing that, and you can really go big in size, because that will bring you way more fun, other than a board focused on the couple of days that you are having strong winds.
Thank you.
No worries. I have a question about the Blitz and the leg pressure. When I am on a big slalom board, 85 centimeter, I have a lot of pressure on the legs, and I have a hard time getting above 50 kilometer. I was really surprised the speed of Mathieu reached on the Blitz. I was wondering how the leg pressure was on the Blitz. Mathieu, how much do you squat?
Never. I'm not a gym guy. I'm just a normal guy.
How did you feel with leg pressure on the Blitz?
Well, I can say it out loud what I typed. So for me, it was more the front leg pressure, like really keeping your front leg stiff, and then the back foot, you bend it a bit. But when I compare it to the Jack and even the Falcon SLS that I'm using more regularly now, your back leg starts getting a bit sour from the pressure. With the Blitz, I didn't feel it at all. It was just chill. The board stays a bit more flat and not really on the rail, so you don't have to push that hard against the fin. And it's really more like guide it with your front foot, extend it, and yeah, it feels more easy in that sense on the back leg. At least that is what I felt yesterday. Even when like going very much downwind into the lake, it still felt like that. It's more about keep the control, push it in the right direction, but it's not about getting like the back leg super sour.
Yeah, so Bonnie, for your feeling, the difference between a slalom board and the Blitz, let's say, is that for example the planing area and the straight line, let's say from the back of the board towards, depending on what kind of board it is, the middle, the longer this is, the more the board is kind of laying in the water. So if you see a picture, or if you see a video or a picture of someone sailing the Blitz, you will see that the board is most of the time until halfway in the water. You know, we still have the cutouts, so it's sinking a little bit, so the nose is coming up a little bit, and you know, it kind of wants to go, but the bottom shape is made in a way that it sits in the water, it rails, and you kind of just stay there. A slalom board, this is way shorter, is way smaller. That's why it's more technical to ride, because it's hovering more above the water, and that's requiring more effort. And that's maybe also what's making you having to put more leg pressure.
Thank you, Jordy. Can I ask you a personal question? Do you struggle more when you are on the 85 big slalom board comparison to the 160 liter? It's from Duotone, I think.
You mean the medium board?
Yeah, the medium board. The leg pressure between the medium board and the large board for you personally.
The thing is, the wider the board, the more extreme it's on the rail, right? Because the wider it is, the more you're able to hover the board, and it's more, you know, it requires more power from the rider. So I'm not using my big board so much. When I do a pretty long session, let's say on my big board, my calves, my shanks, I don't know, I say they're destroyed, but you know, they really feel it. You know, while if I take my medium or if I take my small board, because it's less extreme, because it's more narrow, so there's less leverage on the board, let's say, I don't have that feeling so much. On the flip side,
it's also way more easier on the medium and on the small board for me personally to let it fly more. And with the big board,
how heavy are you?
84, 83.
Yeah, that's still sometimes.
So when I'm able to switch to the medium, I immediately go for the 7/8 warp, and I have a Future Fly 117.
What big board you have, and what sail?
An old from 2020, 132 liters, 85 wide Future Fly.
That's the problem. No.
And I use the S-Pace A3 and sometimes even a 9.3, but that's the 9.3 size is for me a nightmare. But
no, I think if you, the thing is, you may be playing a little bit earlier, but then probably on the 8.3 you can pump better, and in the end you may be playing 1 or 2 knots less, but in the gust you're having way more fun. So that kind of makes sense. So let's say it is more physical to ride a bigger board. I think the feeling is amazing, because the way, you know, you can ride it is there's pretty much nothing like it, but it's requiring more effort. I think that's a little bit of a general thing.
Yeah, I'm trying one more thing. I just ordered a new fin. Hopefully I get it in a few weeks. Hopefully it gets better, and when it doesn't, maybe you look at something else.
Then we let you try a Falcon 80 or 85 wide, and we see what you say.
Okay. So, hey Jordy, I saw that Herman is offering his test trailer to put it at Surf Center. So when Boy is in the neighborhood, we can come to him. He can test any board he likes. So maybe that's a good option.
We had someone willing to try the X-Pace and the S-Pace, and the new S-Pace, and it really makes a lot of sense, because again, I'm happy to tell you my thoughts, my honest thoughts, and promote the things that I like and all that kind of stuff. But if you get the opportunity to test, that's obviously the best, because that's, I would say, a pretty easy thing to convince you.
Yeah, I often wave at the Belgian Rockets on the water at the Brouwersdam or Zonnemerre. So maybe I asked these guys to maybe try out the stuff, and Mathieu already told me. So thanks.
Nice.
We will have a test event at the Brouwersdam as well. On the 6th of June, we're at the Zeil Surf Center.
Ah, nice.
Now we pray for wind. I see another funny one. Jordy, you should organize a race between you on the X-Pace, Maciek on the Speedster Evo, and Tati on the AC0 at the Defi Wind. Honestly, it would be amazing. It's probably as entertaining to watch as we would be on the racing sills. First, I want to check which sizes would be available at the Defi Wind to use for me on X-Pace, because the little parts that are becoming available now, they go to the people that ordered, and I don't think there's too much availability at the moment. But if the French distributor has a small X-Pace there, and
I have a 5.4. Take mine.
Wow, there's no way back. There's no way back now. You
Take
put
mine,
me
and I'll add a Robbie sticker for extra power.
Yeah, nice. Let me keep this in mind, because I think it would be super cool content. So I think it's definitely an interesting one. Or maybe I hardly walk because I'm dead from racing, can also be. But so no promises, but I will definitely keep it in mind. So the Blitz is between free race and free ride. Yes and no. The Eagle is really a free ride board. That board is really made to plane, get you through the jibes. Like the Eagle really keeps a lot of power on the rail, so you can make some mistakes but still make really nice jibes. So the Eagle is completely free ride orientated. The Blitz is the next step. I would say if you have the original fin, a bit more free ride fin, it's leaning towards free ride. But if you put a slalom fin, to me it's a full-on free race board. I think it's a competitive fast.
Yeah, I was asking the question because I noticed also that I sail full slalom, and I have also a free race board from Taboo. And if you sail that board, it's so easy. You go fast, but you need technical skills to make it fly on the fin, because otherwise it's too much on the board. So
yeah, I don't know.
Like a slalom board is going on the last part of the board,
Yeah,
really
yeah.
and the other one is flat. And if you want to make it fly on flat water, you need to kind of lift it a bit to make it fully fly on the fin.
Yeah. What if you remember the explanation that I did about the long straight versus short straight?
That's why I was posing this thing.
Yeah. So yeah, the Blitz will not fly the same, but in the end, it is performance orientated. So that's why we call it a free race board. We do have two sections. Let's say we have the Blitz and the Falcon Fin SLS. So the Falcon Fin SLS has less recess. So where the base plate is not so much down; it's more up. The construction is different. It's softer. Let's say. Not that you feel the board and it's softer, but it's not as stiff as the full carbon construction that we have in a D-Lab. Plus, you have more inside strap positions because free race more inside makes it easier. And then, so basically in the free race sections, we have these two boards. And if you are like, hey, I'm still want to actively sail, really make the board fly, really go and beat my friends, I always advise the Falcon Fin SLS because it is a bit easier and more forgiving than the D-Lab version. If you're like, hey, I just want to, I want to be fast, but give me a bit of ease, then I would recommend the Blitz because yes, with a good fin you can make it go fast, but if you're used to a slalom board flying, the Blitz doesn't fly the same.
It's a different feeling, sailing feeling, these kind of boards.
Yeah.
Different technical group. Yeah, how do you call it's you need a different
no, but if you're so used to something, maybe for a beginner windsurfer what you do is more difficult. but to step back, let's say, to an easier board while you're used to that more high-end feeling is
It's so comfortable.
yeah. And it's the same when some
And I do it
people have-
regularly because my girlfriend is sailing this kind of free ride board, and I put always slalom fins on it. And then if I need to test it, I need to trim it, and then I go on that board, and it's so easy. And I go on my board, I have to really push it to go fast because you want to fly it on the fin.
Yeah.
The other one is like 2 fingers in the nose and you go fast.
Yeah. And it's the same. Some people, when they're slalom sailing all the time and they come to Tenerife and they get a wave sail, and I see them trying to sheet in the sail, and I'm like, hey, this gear is not made for that. This gear is to guide you over those waves in the chop, and that's it. You know, like you cannot push or expect the same thing from that sail. So it's funny you feel it, and that's the way it is. Can you not make the Blitz to fly on fin by moving the mast back? I hope this question is a bit answered with everything before. You can make it fly, and it will not be sticky on the water. It will fly, and the nose will come up, and you can make it hover, but it will never be as extreme as the slalom board. The bottom shape is simply not made in that way, and it's not from any free race board, because it's not that with Duotone. It's a known thing, let's say, that free race boards are having a bit different concept compared to a slalom full-on slalom board. What did you do? I had the Blitz flying pretty much yesterday, but indeed it takes a bit of skill to do. It's not going on the fin by itself, so not that nervous. What did you do? Like the front foot? Just reading out the messages now. In the end, the way you press with the feet is always depending on the power that you have. So if you have the feeling the board is a bit more sticky to the board, to the water, you will automatically have your front leg more stretched and pushing more with the back foot to make the board fly. If no matter what you do, it's always still sticky, you can always check, of course, mast base, put it more to the back, foot straps, put them more to the back, put your boom higher, put your hardest line shorter. This already kind of shows the difficulty of windsurfing, because for one thing to make the board fly, you have 6, 7, 8 options to work on it. So try them all. That's the bottom line. The only thing you can do. Sadly, there's not always a golden answer for everything. Can you tell us something about your podium places at the IFCA Worlds and the forecast for next week? Yeah, I mean, in the end, I was the only guy on both podiums. On the IFCA World Championships on foil and fin, which was absolutely amazing. I think if you ask me up front what would be my goal, it was to win the fin, let's say, and do whatever on the foil. Because when I arrived there, of course, I was a bit sad because the forecast was not so good, and it looked like we were not going to have fin at all. We were going to be on the foil the whole week. So I literally had to use my board, which was never used. I used my 8.7 warp foil, which was never used. Like, it was all brand new, because I was the whole winter completely set of okay, we go to south of France, there will be Tramontana, then there's the Defi Wind on the fin, then there is Fuerteventura, Tenerife, everything is on the fin, so I just fully focus on the fin until August, and then I put all the fin stuff on the side, and I focus on the foil for Silt and Japan. But what can I say? It was amazing to be still so competitive on the foil. I would have been happy with top 5. It looked like I was gonna be 4th, which I would have been very happy with as well. But then with Amado going over early with quite some discussion around it, I even managed to step up to 3rd place. So yeah, super happy with that. It gives a lot of confidence for the other competitions, and especially with finally some Tramontana on the forecast next week. I simply want to step on the podium again. For those who don't know, I'm gonna compete on fin only. So even if it's a bit lighter, I will compete on the fin. I'm not gonna try the open discipline. So my goal is to win the fin only ranking, which is going to be tough. I mean, it's basically the background or the how you call this, the garden of Pierre Mortefon, who I think will do it on the fin only as well. So and Tati France, and I think Nico as well. Like there will be some tough competition, but really looking forward to it. There's more questions coming in. Why is there a warning on Duotone sales website about cancer and reproductive harm? According to, I have no clue. No clue, Peter. Sorry, I've not seen the warning anywhere. To be honest. I have a Defi question regarding to choose the right equipment when the wind goes really crazy over 40 knots. Small slalom board and wave sail, or wave board and small wave sail. I hope we're gonna get over 40 knots. It's gonna be crazy, but I hope we're gonna get it. If you never tried the setup before, it's a little bit tough. I think it would have been really good to try your wave sail on a slalom board. In the end, the slalom board is more made to go straight, back and forward. So I know a lot of people are using the combination of a wave sail on a slalom board. If you have the chance to try, do it. On the other hand, then the wave board and small wave sail is the safe option, because the combination is supposed to work together. And if you are not going for the big result, let's say, and you just want to finish a race, it's all about taking it easy and go slow and steady, which is perfectly doable with a wave board and a small wave sail, because you'll be probably surprised how many people will end up on wave gear. And with 40 plus knots, I actually think more than 600, 700, 800 people will be on that kind of gear. Also wave gear and slalom board. So if you can go out and have a try and see if it works, I would definitely recommend. But the safe choice is always to go with the wave board, because it's the most easy going thing, let's say.
And when it's 40 knots, Jordy, you will be using the 5.7? Or?
Yes, when it's 40 knots, I will be using 5.7. I think 2021 or 2022, it was gusting up to 48. That's when I was using the 5.0. So it's a little bit like 5.2 now is my smallest size. I think if it's gusting up to 40 knots, I'll be still using 5.7. If the base of the wind is getting 35 and it's starting to gust 45 or higher, that's when I will be using the 5.2.
My smallest is a 5.4 warp, but compared to a wave sail, it's more like 4.7 already.
Yes. On the other hand, a 4.7 wave sail will be slower than a warp, which can give you a certain amount of control and easiness and stuff as well, because sometimes people are not they're just scared for the speed, because they go fast, they feel out of control, and they, I don't know, start to be scared or not perform as well. While if they maybe a 4.7 wave sail in terms of power is pretty similar, but because it goes slower and it's more, so the chop comes slower, it's easier to hold the gas, they feel more comfortable. So maybe you're as overpowered, but you get more comfort.
Okay, thanks.
Yes. And what about Duotone Summer Camps Week in the summer? There's actually a couple weeks. This year they also changed that it's also possible for families to come, so you can go with adults and kids together. But there will be 1 week dedicated for kids. Correct me if I'm wrong, Herman. It's 12 to under 18. Let's see if Herman is listening.
10 to 17.
10 to 17, exactly. Under 18 was right, but 10 to 17. Which is a camp we're doing now since a couple years. And really awesome experience. Going with all the kids to the camping, having barbecues together. Back then we went to the Pike, to the Brouwersdam, to go on the water jump, play games. Like basically they'll be entertained the whole week. This year I would say is even better because there's no need to bike quite some kilometers to the camping anymore, because the camping will be in Port Zalande, so it's right at the Brouwersdam. So just a couple meters to go to the water and have fun. So I don't know if there's kids listening here. Maybe they should be in bed already. Or if you have kids who want to join, duotonesummercamps.nl. We still have some. It's going pretty quick lately, but there's still some spaces available for our camp in August. And if you have any questions about it, let me know. And happy to see a lot of kids there again. I think it's really the last years has been really a cool experience with them. So looking forward to that one. I think we're almost 1.5 hours in the call. Oh, wait, I scroll down and I see already 5 more questions. Since there are so many questions and explanations regarding trimming sails, booms, and boards, have you guys considered creating a dedicated Duotone Sailors group? It would be a great way for people to connect and meet up at spots to share their experience. For example, I'd be happy to head out on a windy day to the same location as someone who needs help trimming warp. There is actually, but it's funny how the WhatsApp groups kind of always go up and down in terms of commitment from people. Sometimes you see people starting to meet up and then it kind of slows down and people are scared to talk. But I will definitely work on maybe let's say more active community open for everyone to do such a thing. Because yes, it's definitely sometimes if you have a small problem with the sail, someone else with a similar sail can really help you quickly. And I know Max, for those who don't know which Max it is, it's the Max that did more than 10,000 kilometers last year. So if there's someone who knows the duotone warps really well, he does. Because he's basically windsurfing 3 times as much as I do in a year, which is impressive. So I don't know on how many kilometers you are this year, Max, and if your goal is another 10,000 or even more. But yes, meeting up with other people using the same gear is definitely something that is useful.
In the next couple of days, we are launching the Duotone Benelux WhatsApp community.
Good timing, Herman. You see there's demand. Nice. I see one more thing from, I think durability is very important, and also work circumstances for workers in a new factory in Thailand. Can you tell something about how Duotone is thinking about that? Starboard is doing well, I think. I think it's a good USP for Duotone. Well, Starboard is simply a customer at Cobra, while we are having our own factory, so it's a little bit different. But I do think we have so much closer relationship now with the workers and with the people, and therefore also the circumstances for them than what we had before. Because before, from the Cobra, I basically don't know anyone. And now, for example, I was competing in Japan, and 4 of the people who were normally, let's say, finishing up your boards, they were there in Japan looking at the competition, helping me out a little bit. We went to Tokyo City the last night together to have a bit of fun, which I think is really cool. It really creates this bond between let's say the windsurfers and the people working in the factory, and from in terms of the duurzaamheid, as you say, with there is no more plastic, and taking care of the resins and products that we're using, of course, is a very high theme within our company as well, and is taken very well care of. I think we went through quite a lot of things. We said, I don't think the meeting shuts down after 1.5 hours, but we kind of set 1.5 hours for the meeting. So first of all, super cool to see so many questions coming in, and I don't know, the 1.5 hour talked away really quick. That's what I wanted, and that's how it went. So thanks a lot for you all for being so proactive. I think it means that the concept works. Happy to hear your feedback, of course, to see how we can improve stuff for another time, because I think we will be happy to do this more often. And if you feel like certain topics are interesting, or another way to do this, more than happy to hear from you. And I don't know who's all going to Grusan next week. For sure, quite some people. But yeah, really looking forward to see you there. Ideally on the water, and otherwise on the beach. For those who are not going, sorry for you, but I hope you get to see a lot of nice windsurf action, because after 2 years not competing there, I think it's time again for a really good show. That leaves me to thanks a lot for joining tonight. Hope to see you anywhere on the water, and if you have any last questions, unmute yourself, and happy to answer. And otherwise, I wish you a very good night.